Hello, and as always, thank you for stopping by to check out my channel. Today, I want to cover a couple of huge topics, and I'm going to try to do it as briefly as possible. Like I've said before, my goal here is to kind of point out things that I think are important and give you good resources to dig a little deeper, and then you're kind of off on your own if you find any merit in what I point out. So I'm not really, my goal is not to make long videos. So I want to cover today, I want to cover fluoride. And I would suspect that most people that land on my channel probably have a pretty good feel for this, but it's not always the case, I find. And one of the most, I think, critical things we can do in order to become more aware is to eliminate fluoride from our bodies. And this is a pretty good website. It's fluoridealert.org, and they have a pretty good base of knowledge here. If you're not familiar with what's gone on with fluoride over the last 50 years, this is a great place to start. If you need some background just to even begin to understand and believe, and it's kind of a hard pill to swallow, so to speak, that the government's been purposely trying to poison us and calcify our pineal glands for all these years. I mean, a lot of people have a hard time wrapping their mind around that, but it's true. And people say, well, what about the dentists? Yeah, well, what about the dentists? I mean, doctors are bought and paid for, and really, doctors for the most part are just puppets, and they're taught what they're taught in medical school and throughout their educational progress through the system. They get brainwashed. I mean, I was a pharmaceutical sales rep for 6 years. I speak from a place of experience. I mean, I had 100 doctors were my closest friends, and they were not at all free thinkers. They were. I've got a belief that the more education you have, the less of a free mind you have, because they trick you into thinking that you're smarter than everybody, and they pump you full of a bunch of propaganda. So doctors, I mean, the dentists, most of them probably believed that fluoride was good for people's teeth. So here's a resource. I would definitely check this out, fluoridealert.org. It's a good place to start. And I want to point out just something else that's definitely worth some time. Even I need to spend a little bit more time digging into this, but it's just more background information of how evil this whole thing is. But fluoride was promoted by the Mellon Institute, and it's essentially what not even essentially what fluoride is. It's a byproduct of the production of aluminum, and as aluminum was started to be produced more and more, they didn't know what to do with the byproduct. It's kind of like the whey protein that they put in all the muscle drinks. All the guys that go out and buy the whey protein that they think is going to make them have big muscles. Well, that's a byproduct of, I think it's making cheese or something, but it's a waste product, and it's not good for you. But they market it as, hey, big muscles. Same thing with the fluoride. They marketed it as it's good for your teeth, right? So if you do a little research on the Mellon Institute, it's an evil place, man. Carnegie is the name behind it, and this was nothing but a brainwashing facility to teach the masses what they wanted them to know. And if you have any doubt about that, they had some connections like with the Manhattan Project, but the one thing I think that is really worth noting is, I mean, look at all the supporters of the research here. They were all aluminum and steel companies. And if you don't know who Edward Bernays is, you really should do some looking into that as well. Edward Bernays is the father, of deception in our country. He was I believe, a protege of Joseph Goebbels from Germany, who did a lot of the brainwashing over there. But Bernays, he was the one that promoted smoking. He's the one that taught our country that smoking was cool. He taught women. I think he called them freedom sticks, and they had a parade in Manhattan and got all the women wanting to smoke. But if you ever have a chance to do some looking into Edward Bernays, I might even do a video on him sometime, just because it's amazing. I mean, he is the father of deception here in our country, and he was tied into this whole fluoride garbage as well. And Alcoa, we all remember Alcoa, right? Remember the football? We used to watch football growing up, and they always had the fantastic finishes presented by Alcoa, right? Just garbage, man. So anyway, so here it is. Fluoride was a byproduct. It's been also known to make people more malleable, and one of the major functions is that it calcifies our pineal gland. And yeah, I could do a whole other video on the pineal gland, and I may do it at some time. I have some things to learn there as well, but it's been shown to calcify the pineal gland. And if you're not familiar with the pineal gland, it's some call it the seat of the soul, some call it it's basically the third eye. It's our spiritual gland. It's the part of the human being that has been pretty much done away with in our world. Everything is a material in this world. We live in a material world. Everyone values material goods, and part of the reason why we don't see through that is because our main gland there, our spiritual gland, the pineal gland, has been calcified by other things as well. But fluoride's the main one. And once you quit drinking fluoride, you'll find that you'll start to see things differently. In fact, you'll start getting headaches as it decalcifies, and you'll all of a sudden you'll start viewing the world differently to the point where you have to be careful, because it sometimes can cause problems in your marriage, or at work, or with your friends and family, because you'll start to see clearly, and people will think you're nuts because it's hard to see when you have no eye. So you probably want to do a little looking into the pineal gland if you're interested in that. This is all real stuff. I mean, this isn't baloney. Believe me, this is good stuff. I've taken fluoride out of my life now for, I think, at least somewhere between 2 and 3 years now. Then I started filtering fluoride out of my water, and I don't drink beverages very often unless they come from my water. We make our own soda here with the fluoride-free water, and use a soda stream and make our own syrups and things. The one culprit I had for a while was beer and liquor, but even there, I think I found, I think Heineken might have been fluoride-free, or at least I thought it was. But I've actually quit drinking as well, so that's not an issue anymore for me. But the deal here is that if you get the fluoride out, you automatically start decalcifying. There's also something else I did with the iodine, the nascent iodine. That seems to be the most effective way to decalcify the pineal gland, to speed up the process. And that, for me, it was. And you have to be a little careful with that. I mean, you don't want to overdo it. You do some research on it, and you can order it from, there's some places online that have it. And anyway, I think if you're a person that wants to become more aware and, so to speak, wake up, getting the fluoride out of your body and decalcifying the pineal gland are probably maybe the most important thing you can do. I don't know. I rank it right up there with not watching TV. I think they're both about just as insidious, but I probably should have put it earlier on in my sequence of videos here. But here, I'll leave a link to this video. It's 16 minutes long. If you've never been exposed to infinite waters, the guy's interesting. I certainly don't endorse everything that he says or does, but he's a thinker. And I watched this video a few years back when I first started realizing that I wanted to decalcify my pineal gland. I ran across this video, and I thought it was helpful. He's entertaining. He says, diving deep in infinite waters, and he does this thing where he goes, "Can I get a hello there?" Something about the guy that's just kind of warm and endearing, but he's got a lot of good information. He's a little more new age than I tend to subscribe to, as far as he's very new age. He's got a lot of interesting ideas, but he's definitely worth checking out, his channel. But even if you're not interested in him, this one video I think is worth your time. See, peace. Infinite waters, diving deep. You see, he's very, so there you get the idea. A very calming guy, and he has a lot of good information about the pineal gland here. So I'll leave a link to this in the description, this video. And that's all I've got. Again, fluoride, check it out. Gotta get it out of your system if you want to start to wake up. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you take something away from this. And like I said, I don't. There's a million places you can go for good information here, but I think this Fluoride Action Network's a great place to start. You could do a little bit of reading into Bernays, and that takes you down a whole other rabbit hole. But anyway, thanks again. Have a great day, and God bless.